Should you use vaginal weights? Well, the answer is maybe. I have some pelvic floor PT friends that are like, yes, all the time with everyone. They're the best thing. And then I also have some other pelvic floor PT friends that are like, never, it's not needed. I would never prescribe vaginal weights for someone. And both of these PT friends are great PTs and have very high success rates with helping people. So when we think about when might it be a good idea to use vaginal weights and when might it not, and that's what I want to break down today for you. So when we think about lifting weights, whether we're lifting weights with our body, like our arms or our legs, or we're lifting weights with our vagina, we're still lifting weights. And I would never send somebody into the weight room with absolutely no instruction. So I wouldn't tell somebody, hey, buy some vaginal weights, that's all you need, your pelvic floor will be fixed, with absolutely no instruction. So I think that's problem number one, is a lot of people will try vaginal weights without any proper instruction. Some of the pitfalls that can go wrong with this is not properly contracting the pelvic floor. Perhaps they think, oh, I should walk around with vaginal weights in and hold that contraction for long periods of time. That's not how the pelvic floor works. Hey, the pelvic floor is made up of some slow twitch, yes, but it also has some fast twitch fibers in there as well. And it's meant to contract and relax, not hold a steady contraction. Right? The other thing that can go really wrong is not getting a full relaxation phase. So when we think about getting a great pelvic floor contraction, the contraction part is just as important as the relaxation part. And so especially if you have somebody who has a tendency toward a little bit of tightness, they might grab vaginal weights, try them, and then it might actually make their leaking worse. It might make their pelvic floor worse. Okay, so you've got a little bit of nuances here where it's really good to have an idea, just like it would be having a plan when you walk into a weight room to lift weights. I'm never gonna tell somebody, hey, I want you to start deadlifting without giving them any training. So think about it that way. You're lifting weights, you need a little bit of training. You need to make sure that you can fully contract and relax and contract well. Full contraction, both a squeeze and a lift. Now, a second factor I like to keep in mind is, what is the person's goals? What do they want to do? Do they have a sport where, let's say, okay, they're going to be a power lifter, and they're doing competing in CrossFit games, and they're going to have to deadlift a lot of heavy weight from the pool floor repeatedly, time and time again. They're going to need a lot of strength, a lot of fast twitch firing for that, and a lot of endurance, right? So they're really going to need their pelvic floor to show up in a big way. And so someone like that, where their sport has a very, very high demand, they're going to be strengthening their lats. Think about when you go to do deadlift and you lock your lats in to pull that weight off the floor. The lats are going to create tremendous pressure in the thoracolumbar fascia, which is then going to tighten in your TAs, which is going to put a lot of pressure down on the pelvic floor through that lat connection. And so when that happens, if the pelvic floor is not strong enough to withstand that pressure, you're going to get some leaking. Okay, so that's one cause of leaking when we're doing heavy deadlift. Okay, so when I look at somebody like that, if their goal is to really be able to move around massive amounts of weights and they have the strength for it in the rest of their body, I'm going to wonder, hey, is their pelvic floor just not keeping up? And that might be a great time when somebody can use pelvic floor weights, where they've got their contraction down, they know how to relax, their pelvic floor overall is in really good shape, conditioned shape, and connectivity, so they know when they're bearing down, they know how to contract well, and then I'm going to overload with vaginal weights. Okay, now another time might be appropriate for something like vaginal weights would be if somebody's having trouble kind of feeling what's happening in their pelvic floor. A little bit of weight might give them, okay, I'm feeling that lift happen, so it might help to give them a little bit of feedback. For that, I prefer more of the biofeedback trainers instead of weights because they register full relaxation, whereas a vaginal weight does not register relaxation. And so a lot of times when somebody's working on awareness, they might even need the relaxation piece more than the contracting piece. So just something to keep in mind. Now, if somebody walks in and their goal is to be a walker and just try to keep up with kids and have an enjoyable life, then they probably don't need vaginal weights at all, and it would be a waste of time and a waste of money. And just doing regular pelvic floor contractions or kegels properly will be enough to solve their issues. All right, so when we think about should you use vaginal weights or should you not, the answer is going to be Maybe. You need to look at your foundation, and then you need to look at your goals, and then you need to make the best coaching decisions from there for your particular body.